Hello, and welcome back to Project Rejectus. Today, we are going to step away from Turnham and explore the center continent of Vedus to see how the creatures have changed ever since the continent separation. Covered in vast jungles, many of the plants below struggled to compete with these trees, such as the cherba. But as the saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. Their descendants, the Turamaeohite, becoming similar to the trees all around them. They became much taller, moving all their leaves to the very top of their bodies to make a large crown of leaves. They, however, grew much faster, being more similar to bamboo than a tree. These flimsy plants wrapped around each other for support. These plants soon created their own forest separate from the others, leading to new opportunities for animals such as the ludus. This new untapped food source would allow them to become the tallest of their family. These very odd-looking animals are the Turamabrachid. Growing to the same height as a giraffe, these animals have become extremely solitary, only interacting with each other to mate, causing them to lose their iconic display flaps. Their odd shape is to resemble the Turamaeohites around them, as their defense against predators is to stand still and blend in with the plants around them. The Varroa were also quick to adapt to this environment, but it's the one you think instead of one of the herbivorous Varroa, but instead one of the predator species would take their place in these forests. Instead of becoming bigger predators like you might expect, they're more like pandas on Earth, specializing to eat a specific plant around them, spending most of their lives eating the insides of Turamabrachids. The only time they will leave their homes is to mate, where they are very susceptible to predators. The Testrum found themselves struggling in this continent of jungles that replaced the plains they knew and loved. While in most forests, they struggled against other herbivores, this new environment would allow them a second chance to thrive. The Denier took advantage of the flimsy plants around them, making their teeth much sharper. They could easily chop down multiple of these flimsy trees at once, eating as much of them as possible each day. With this new lifestyle, they were much less skittish than their ancestors, often being seen giving rides to smaller animals in their area. Now, to introduce our predator. The Tesnia followed into these new forests, finding much more open space in the trees than usually their descendants were allowed to dominate the treetops of this forest. Their descendants, the Molnia, had made their exoskeletons much softer in exchange for better mobility and speed. Their webs now span vast distances between trees, with them patrolling their territory daily. Their silk has become much stronger, both to make stronger webs and to help catch prey, along with two fangs to help with this. The cherba weren't the only plants to change, being the one of the most abundant plants. The fruberous would quickly spread to the new environments popping up around the continent, such as the new abundant swamps. The radal's roots have become much more spread out, similar to mangrove trees on Earth, to help them survive in this wet habitat. Small animals can be found by these trees, eating the fruits that fall down from them. These trees are some of the tallest around, providing large amounts of shade below them. The griboli were one of the first to adapt to the swamps, becoming much faster to catch their prey. They dash through the murky water below, catching any prey they may find. The virahas have turned their ancestors' arms into fins to maximize their speed while chasing prey. Their green color allows them to blend in with the murky water. They use their long mouths to catch their prey quickly and effectively. The Turamabrachid was also one of the many animals to move into the vast swamps. Their odd body shape, used for camouflage, actually proved quite useful for swamps, surprisingly. A much shorter descendant, the Ortrum, specialized for eating aquatic plants, developing a beak similar to duck. They used it similar to a shovel, eat their main food source, as they walked across the swamp with their stilt-like legs. We're not done with this odd family quite yet, fully adapted for swamp life. The Vistro are small omnivores along with aquatic plants. They use their soft beaks to detect small animals in the murky water around them. Similar to the platypus, they swim with their eyes closed, fully relying on their beaks to find their prey. The Hamarostrum is the perfect candidate for this wet environment, already having all the necessary adaptations due to living in river and freshwater environments. the swamps were perfect place for them to thrive. Their descendants the Palnia became titans of the swamp, developing a large sail and tail to help swim along with improved hooks on their hands and a modified face to help catch their prey. Their legs resembled the murky water around them to hide themselves from the animals below. Now, let's get to the last environment for today. We're finally going back to the mountains. The main star is the musculus. These plants would become extremely successful thriving, where plants like the fruberous couldn't. They soon were able to take advantage of their little competition. Their descendants, like many other plants, developed a bark-like structure to support their new sizes. These giant trees would cover the mountaintops, creating this world version of cloud forests. While an ordinary tree at first glance, they did have one huge difference. The fir trees would develop bright flowers across their branches to attract animals, using them to spread around their offspring in exchange for their sweet nectar as an easy food source. As usual, with the new food source comes a new niche that the senator would take for themselves, fully specializing for the trees' sweet nectar. Their descendants would become completely dependent on the trees for survival, now only feeding from them. The Eastrum spend their days quickly flying across the forest, constantly eating and looking for their next meal. They blended in quite well with the trees with their new vibrant colors. With this new environment and all the food it provided, herbivores such as the Montspius would soon move in to fill out the niches in these new forests, showing a new ecosystem very different than the ones below the clouds. One of their descendants became much smaller, quickly climbing up the many trees around them. The Vumrax jumps from tree to tree to find their food, acting similar to a squirrel. Their dark red fur helps them to blend in with the plants around them. Their cousins, on the other hand, went a very different route, become large grazers. The Pterosaeum hopped around the forests looking for plants. These large animals were seen fighting each other over territory, kicking, punching, and even using their large horns in these fights the same way they would against predators. They were a force to be reckoned with in the cloud forests. Of course, as always, where there's prey there predators, and the cloud forest is no exception. The Ablumtyrannusa was the predator that soon followed. Their descendants would take on a much different hunting style. The Anubinas was an apex predator that hunted in small packs to take down the many giants in the forest. They took down any prey they could find with their hooked claws. They maintained the long-standing behavior of using their club tails for mating rights, among many other things. And that wraps it all up for today. Thank you, as always, for watching till the end. I had a lot of fun making this episode with all these unique environments. I will not make another episode for Vedus after this. The next time I see you, we will finally return to Salumia. But until then, goodbye for now.